In this video, we're going to talk about GitHub. So before we can talk about GitHub, we first must have an understanding of Git. Git is basically a version control system that allows developers to make constant changes and updates to their code and basically work as part of a team. Alright, so now that we've established that Git is basically a version control system, what do we mean by GitHub? So GitHub.com is a website that's basically used by developers to store their projects and also network with like-minded people. Alright, let's talk about some common terminology that's used in GitHub. Let's begin with a repository. It's also called a repo. It's basically the location where all the files of a particular project are going to be stored. So each project has its own repo, and you can access it with a unique URL. And the key thing to a great repo name is to keep it short and memorable. So when you're using GitHub, you might hear the word fork. And basically a fork or to fork is to copy a repository. So forking a repository allows you to freely experiment with changes without really affecting the original project. So most commonly, forks are used to either propose changes to somebody else's projects, or you can use somebody else's projects as a starting point for your own. So like I mentioned, one of the uses for forking is to make updates to somebody else's code. And the way we do that is through something called a pull request. So basically you fork the repository. Let's say there are some bugs, you can fix the bugs, fix the issues, and then you can submit a pull request to the project owner. This is actually a great way to start a communication with the owner, and if your bug, if you fix the bugs well enough, they can actually accept your fix into the original repository. So there's a social networking aspect to GitHub. Basically, each GitHub user has their own profile that acts sort of like a resume of all the projects that they've done, their past work contributions to other projects via pull requests, and it opens up communications about projects. Where previously, if somebody wanted to help another person with their code, they would have to find the author of that code, they would have to contact them, track them down via email or some other sort of way. But GitHub basically opens up this platform for developers to communicate. So another benefit of GitHub is basically allowing your code to be reviewed by the community. Let's say you've written some code, you can put it on GitHub and you can see how the community responds. People can download your code, they can evaluate it, maybe there are some conflicts or maybe unforeseen dependencies that you hadn't thought of. You can basically start that communication and improve your own code. The last thing I'll talk about in terms of GitHub is that you can use it to actually find talent for your own company. Let's say you have a project that you're working on and you're looking for help. You can actually search the community and take a look at other people's codes, look at their projects, look at their pull requests history, and you can basically get a sense of how somebody works. And then you can contact that person and potentially get them on your team. I hope you enjoyed this video on GitHub.